Okay, it's Henry again, and this is my first work in progress video for the 1/60th scale HY2M Gouf. And this is going to be I don't want to say simple project just because it's not really a simple kit. But I'm basically just going to be doing an OOB paint job. I do have a couple small modifications I have in mind, but nothing like really serious at all. So basically just going to be painting this guy up and doing some weathering. So I've already got the kit snapped together, obviously. It's a very, very nice model kit. I do like it a lot. I love the way it looks. I like the early 2000s look of the Gouf. That's one of the reasons I wanted to get this guy. More of a fan of this style rather than the more modern slash retro look of like the Master Grade 2.0 or the high grade Gouf Revive version. Anyway, it's an extraordinarily tight kit. I, honest to God, have never built a Bandai kit that is this tight, because almost every single joint has a nut and a bolt or a screw in it, and you can tighten them and loosen them however you want. So really the kit can be as tight or as loose as you want it to be, but I've got everything pretty tight, and he's very, very, very solid at the moment. So right now I don't have any of the LEDs in it right now. I'm actually about to start on that. So about to get down to business putting some of these LEDs in the kit. I've got all my wires and stuff out here getting ready to get down to the nitty-gritty. Here's the head. Just wanted to show off some of the stuff in here. It's got a little bit of an inner frame in the head. Mono eye can rotate. It'll have an LED inside there. Wires come out through this bottom part here. Got all our LEDs, or at least most of them. There's another LED right here that's connected to a chip. That's going to go into the left hand for the little machine gun fingers. But got a little battery right here so I can test all the LEDs. Bright orange for most of them. These are all going to go in like the feet and the legs and the backpack and the cockpit. And we got one smaller LED. This is a 3mm. Bright red for the mono eye. Now, I don't really care for red LEDs for Xeon mono eyes, because, I mean, you watch the show, the mono eye is pink. There's just no getting around it. It's pink. So I went ahead and ordered some 3mm pink LEDs. So they haven't arrived yet, but once they do, I'll just substitute the pink LED for this red one. So it'll have a little bit more of an anime accurate color for the mono eye. Also, I have ordered a small LED, which also has not arrived yet, that I plan to fit down inside the handle for the heat saber. It's actually a yellow LED. They didn't have orange. And that way I'll be able to light up the heat saber. Not really sure how bright it's going to be. I think it'll probably be about the same brightness as this one, but hopefully that'll be enough to illuminate this heat saber and make it glow quite nicely. So I'll try to put some of this LED wiring on camera. Some of it I won't be able to, because I'll just have it like right down in my face, and I just won't be able to have the camera between me and the LEDs. But according to the manual, none of this stuff has to be soldered. You can all just do it by wrapping the wires around the contacts and like using these little crimping beads to crimp everything in place. So hopefully that'll be the case and it'll work out smoothly. So let's see. Okay, so the manual actually starts us out putting the wires in the head, but I figured I'd start with the feet first and just work my way up, because the rest of the manual goes from the feet up. So each foot has one LED in it, and right here I've got the little LED assembly. It's got a clear piece with the LED down inside it. And like I said earlier, they actually don't require any soldering in this. So they just have you wrap the wires around the LED contacts and then fold them down like so. And then what you're going to do is thread the wires through excuse me, the bottom of the feet like this. Oops. Get those through there. And then this plastic piece is going to fit down into the bottom of the foot, like so. It just pegs in there. Looks like everything is lined up properly. And I've got a little button battery here to test everything. Because one of the things that you really want to do is test. Like every time you wire something up or put an LED in, make sure to test it. You can see that the LED works. Because you don't want to like have the entire thing wired up and then find out that one or two LEDs don't work. So that's going to go to the leg, and then this bottom part of the foot will just go on like so. And I've already done the other foot, so now it's on to the lower legs. Okay, so I've got the wires and LEDs wired up for the lower leg, and this one was a little bit more complex. I actually had a little bit of trouble with it because I had had 2 cups of coffee and my hands were kind of shaky, and I was trying to thread these small wires through these tiny little holes and get them to line up just perfectly with this LED. But I eventually got it to work. So the wires are coming up from the foot down here, and then they come in through the back of this black piece, and you actually have to take a second wire and then thread them and twist the ends together in such a way that the exposed wire makes contact with the contacts of the LED here, and then do the same thing for the black wire on the other side, and then that wire comes out and goes up, and it does work. Let's see, get my little test battery, other end of the wire, oopsie. So, it's not quite in place. Dang it. It works better when, like, I actually have the, there we go. Yeah. I'm supposed to have a piece of plastic on top of that, but, that holds it in place. Actually, this piece right here, which I can go ahead and fit that on right now, just like so. Hear that snap into place. And then it's going to have this little thing. There's only one LED, but there's 2 vents, and it uses light piping. It uses this clear part right here for lighting up the 2 vents. And now that I've got that plastic piece on top of that LED, should light up no problem. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so now moving on to the cockpit, I guess. Next step was pretty easy. All I had to do was take the wires that were coming out of the thigh and assemble the waist section, and then run the wires up through these 2 holes in the waist section, like so. Alright, so this is the beginnings of the torso. Actually just finished wiring up the thrusters on the backpack, and also this thing. This is basically just, that's actually the LED right there for the cockpit. It doesn't really look like much right now because it's just like a part that's inside the torso that you're not even going to see. So more on that later, but I did want to test these thrusters really quick. Alright, one down. And there we go. So yeah, both working good, both wired up good, and let's continue on. This is the really complex part of the wiring. Just to give you all an idea of what this process is like, instead of doing any soldering, Bandai has given us these little brass crimping beads. And basically the idea behind that, I'm going to zoom in and hope this actually shows up, is you're going to take these little brass beads and wrap them around, wrap the end of the wire around the brass bead, and then loop that brass bead onto the LEDs, and then fold that around, and then use a pair of pliers to crush the brass bead, like crimping it in place, so that everything is connected together like so. And then we've got all these on the bottom. I think I'm about halfway done. I've got the thruster LEDs and the cockpit LED wired up, and at this point I'm about to put the LED in the head for the mono eye, and then that'll come down and connect to these as well, and then I'll just have to connect the wires from the legs, and those are going to connect to these, and then the switches are going to be installed on this piece right here, and I just put in the metal contacts for the batteries. Okay, so I finally got the LED and the head wired up. It's actually pretty small down in here. Just got a little wow, that's super blurry. Just gonna zoom back out. Just got a little 3mm LED for the mono eye. You've got a small resistor connected to the negative end. Positive end just goes straight to the battery case. And test that. Oh, by the way, my pink LEDs came in, so this is the original red LED, and this is the pink LED that I ordered. Looks quite a bit nicer, I think. Put that in there. Got a little lens that goes over it, and then that's all threaded through a hole in the bottom of the head, and it's going to go on like so, and then this mechanical part will go on top of that. Flip it on, give it a test, and there we go. Nice pink LED. I like it a lot. I like that a whole lot better than the red one. So all the wiring is now set up. I basically had to go and connect these 4 wires from the legs and connect them to that bottom part with all the contacts that you saw earlier, and then the thrusters, those LEDs went in there as well, and then the head LEDs connected as well. There are a few little metal contacts I had to install for the battery case and the switches right here. But when it's all said and done, you just pop the head on there, and we got the 2 switches in the backpack here. You can flip those on. You know what? Might help if I actually put the batteries in. Getting way ahead of myself here. So, batteries in there. Then you can put the head on and flip the switches. LEDs light up. Flip the other switch. Mono eye lights up. There's the LED for the cockpit right there. LEDs on the bottom of the feet, sides of the legs, thrusters, cockpit, mono eye, all looking very, very nice and working perfectly. Okay, so the last bit of the electronics is actually in the left hand. Like I said in the unboxing video, we get 2 left hands. We get a posable left hand, the fingers can all move and stuff, and then we get a left hand that's fixed pose but has light up features. So as you can see, we've got the LED right here, and then we've got this clear part that's doing light piping, sending that light to all 5 fingers. So we're just going to sandwich this bottom half of the hand onto here, and I'm going to put these finger segments on like so. And what I'm going to have to do for painting is I'll just have to cement the seam line right here, and then I'll leave these end parts off and then just mask off the clear parts so that I can paint this hand. Luckily the hand and the LED aren't actually connected together, so I can just paint the hand separate from this forearm. And we got the little circuit board with the LED attached to it. It's got two metal contacts, one right here that's connected to this switch that rotates, and another one down here. Got the little button battery, and it's off right now. Let me zoom out so maybe it won't be so blurry. And then all you got to do is use this. Oops, turned it the wrong. Make sure it's in place. Turn that switch, and we now have blinking, firing LEDs for the hands. If you want to turn it off, just rotate that again, and it turns off. Pretty simple. Okay, the only real structural modification that I want to do with this kit is with the shoulder armor. It's probably fine as is, but I did want to make it a little bit bigger, because on the HY2M Gouf, the shoulder armor is it's bigger than usual on a Gouf or a Zaku, and I wanted to sort of replicate that. So I've never actually attempted doing this before, so this will be my first time, but I've seen other modelers do it, and it doesn't look all that difficult. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend it out this way, and I'm going to extend it out up and down vertically. I'm not going to bother extending it out width-wise, because I think it's fine that way. Plus, that's not going to really be that impactful if I make it wider, but I do want to make it taller and longer this way. So the way I'm going to end up doing that is I'm going to get my, where is it? Here we go, hobby saw, and I'm going to cut the entire shoulder armor in half right about here, right before you get to the spike. Because if you flip it over, you'll see that the connector right here that connects to the shoulder armor is just before the spike. So there's a nice little area right here where I can cut the shoulder armor in half without having to cut the spike and without having to cut this connector right here. And then I'll do the same thing up and down, except I'll cut a line between the spike and this little circular detail right here, so I won't have to mess up either of those. And then I'm going to cement some pla plate. I'm thinking I'll probably do like 4 millimeters. I'll probably do 2 pieces of 2 millimeter pla plate and extend it 4 millimeters this way and then 4 millimeters that way. So this is the first expansion, and as you can see, I've added 2 2-millimeter pieces of pla plate, so a total of 4 millimeters, making the shoulder armor a little bit wider. And when this cement is cured, I'll just go and cut all this around the edge and sand it now nice and smooth, and it should conform nicely to the shape of the shoulder armor. Likewise, on the inside, I'll go in with a Dremel and carve some of this out. Although I don't think it'll obstruct the shoulder joint very much, I'll still just go ahead and get rid of it for aesthetic purposes. Alright, so here they are all sanded down. As you can see, it contours nicely to the shape of the shoulder armor. And another thing I decided to do was I added a wedge of pla plate in the spike there to make it curve inward a little bit more, because I wanted it to curve up kind of like on the HY2M Gouf, but not quite as much as the Gouf Custom. So I just did 2 millimeters in the spike there. And this is still going to require some cleanup. There's a few little imperfections in here. But basically just going to go over these with some primer, and then I'll have to do a little bit of putty work, but it shouldn't be very much trouble at all. Okay, so I think that just about does it for the first work in progress video. All I really got to do now is painting, so I'll just make painting the subject of the second work in progress. I have already decided on a color scheme, and I'll show that to you guys when I start the second work in progress video. So with that, I'll see you guys next time.